Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Fit and Focus for Remote Work and Digital Nomads podcast. Guys, I have a treat for you for the whole weekend, a longish episode with five of us actually. We got together in person in Playa del Carmen, Mexico in a recording studio, and we get to chat about our lifestyle as nomads and as remotes, as business owners, entrepreneurs, or working for somebody else remotely and staying in places like Playa del Carmen longer or not so long, sometimes calling this place our new home. In this amazing and fascinating and awesome conversation, and also lots of fun, you're gonna hear stories about what are most important things before you jump in. Speaking from experience, we all jumped into this lifestyle in new countries, sometimes more nomadic, sometimes less nomadic, sometimes working for somebody else remotely, sometimes managing our own businesses. Like, what we learned are some of the very important aspects of your life and your routines and setup that you need to think of before jumping full in. What are some of the non-negotiables, like things you gotta do, otherwise you're gonna suffer mentally, physically, business-wise, emotionally, mentally? How to keep that balance between fun, sightseeing, and work, especially, in exciting destinations in new countries where you've never been before? Balance between routines and spontaneous adventures and meetups. Routines, guys, they keep us grounded. We talk a lot about that on the podcast. Healthy meals and trying all the new foods. Healthy meals to sustain our health, our well-being, and, exploring the world through food. Adventurous eating and trying all the street food. And taking care of your stomach, preventing all kinds of local diseases or just, misfortunes of our stomach and bathroom. What to do, what to avoid when you doing this non-solo, like remote lifestyle, digital nomad style, and you have a co-living partner. And so are vegans, and you'll understand why. How to manage time and get your work done and get progress in your business or your career. Why working naked, even though for a lot of you it might be an option, is not actually a great idea. And what's wrong with all the laptop and working on the beach pictures that you see when you Google things like digital nomads and why they are ultimate nonsense? What makes any place feel like home? And how it's your job to take some action to make this happen. Remote, serendipitously stuck in Playa del Carmen, happy and nomadic, remote, full or part-time. That's what we are chatting about. So without further ado, please tune in and stay tuned. Live! Cool. So welcome to Fit and Focus for Remote Work and Digital Nomads podcast. Guys, I'm so pumped that today we have a whole party of people, digital nomads, people working remotely, entrepreneurs, self-made people from all over the world, like speaking different languages. I lost count how many languages exactly. And we are talking about challenges of our lifestyle. Remote, location independent, working for ourselves, defining our own routines and things to do or not to do. And as we learn and talk more about today, it can get quite challenging. Like what I like to say, now that you have this freedom, can you handle it? Right? So welcome to the show, and let's start with introduction. So Bridget, maybe we'll start with you.
Okay. Yeah, cool. My name is Bridget Heidenreich. I'm from Germany, and I'm a business consultant. Help freelancers to start a business, to set up a business successfully with all the strategy and all the things they come along. I started 12 years ago and consulted SMEs in Germany and switched to focus on people they would like to start. They are good and passionate about the service, but they struggle with all the strategy things around. And I love to do what I'm doing.
I'm not going to pretend to understand everything that everybody does, but it sounds very fascinating. And how did you end up in Playa del Carmen, where we all are right now?
So I got a project from a client, and he asked me if I could do that in Mexico, and I was like, yeah. As I'm working now remote, I can come over, because normally it's not handable to pay a consultant full time for some months in another country. That's quite expensive. So I just need to charge the hours I'm dedicating for this client, and the rest of the time I can continue with my other clients.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's quite fascinating.
Yeah.
I think we all have different stories of how we got here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sergio.
Hi, my name is Sergio Mojar. I'm a digital marketer. I have been doing organic marketing consulting for small businesses and network marketers, and since 2018 I have been teaching also about Airbnbs, how to start it, how to scale it, and how to grow it. How I arrived to Playa del Carmen, well, it has been the place that I have been here, coming and going, and I've decided, you know what, this is the place that now I'm going to stay here. That's how I got in here.
Well, again, such a great story. Seems serendipitous, very much. And I think that's going to be actually the theme for all of us, more or less, like serendipity and how we got here, right? So how I got here, I'm a coach. I've been working remotely for more than 11 years now. But how I ended up here, decided to join a remote year from London. I was supposed to spend 4 months in Latin America, came to Mexico, didn't quite like it, quit it, and was thinking, where do I go next? I didn't want to go back, didn't know where to go. So I knew one person here, and he told me that they loved it here with his partner and that I should come over. And so I did, and it's almost a year now. Yes, and also I'm a lifestyle coach, help remote pros and digital nomads to optimize their routines so they can do, be, and feel their best. And next to you, Brett.
Hello. My name is Brian Kelly. I started the digital nomad gig. Well, the work I do for that is artificial intelligence. That's how I got into it, and I became a digital nomad for the first time 8-9 years ago, something like that. I actually don't travel. I'm now a permanent resident here in Playa del Carmen because I'm also a musician and I own a recording studio that's kind of close to here. It's nearby, so it's like I've kind of gone full circle where I wanted to be nomad. I was nomad for several years, and then found the beauty in having roots once again in this place, Playa del Carmen. The way I got here to Playa del Carmen is that there's many places all over the world that I've traveled to once, but this is a place that I kept coming back to. And so about 2 years ago or so, I made it official, and now I live here and sometimes travel, but I'm less of a nomad than I used to be, but I certainly have quite a bit of time on the road being a nomad.
Hopefully we're going to learn more about it. Thank you. Justin.
Yeah, my name is Justin. I'm from Germany too, and I'm not a resident yet, but maybe soon to be. I am an e-commerce seller, so I've been selling physical products for nearly 4 years now, and since about the beginning of this year, I have been starting to coach other entrepreneurs, high performance and mindset coaching. So it's helping other entrepreneurs breaking through their limiting beliefs, their mental and emotional blockages, and what brought me to Playa del Carmen? I guess the good weather, good food, good people, and escaping the winter, the cold winter in Germany. You know about it. So but then also several other reasons. I like it here. I'm a digital nomad for I think 4 years now, but I haven't been living in Germany since 2015. So I've been basically a perpetual traveler since then. Due to studies, been studying abroad, working abroad. Been on basically every continent so far. This was my last one, Latin America. So happy to be here.
Yeah, I see. We all kind of didn't really have a long-term plan to come to Playa del Carmen and stay here, but here we are, all of us, right, from different parts of the world, either nomads, or full part-time, or just very flexible to travel around and work where we want to work, or where it's best for us for now to work. And I think, I don't know, guys, what do you think? Like this flexible lifestyle, working, living in different places around the world, like it's becoming more and more common, like compared to even before COVID. What do you think?
I think it's becoming a lot more common. I think it's for me, being as old as I am now and that kind of stuff, I actually find it annoyingly more common. When I say that, I don't mean that I don't want other people to do it. It just irritates me how hard it was for me to do it 8 or 9 years ago. Like when I first kind of had the idea, it wasn't as popular of an idea. And I can remember having phone conversations with like employers being like, man, it makes no difference if I work remotely. Like, you're just being totally old-fashioned about this. And they wouldn't budge. So it was something that I had to work very hard to make happen. And I set, during the pandemic over the past couple of years, I've been like, these jerks, they work remotely. It's just being handed to them, But yeah, I do see it becoming a lot more common. And because I'm staying in one place more often these days, and it's a place that people tend to come and go, I can kind of see that happen in real time as well.
Yeah. So please feel free to contribute. This is chat conversation, right? I can get you with some questions, but please feel free to.
Yeah, I was gonna add. You can see yourself as a pioneer, instead of being so mad about it. You'd be like, well, I'm old school. I'm one of the OGs.
Yeah, it's true. It's funny because in that time traveling, I've also seen the world change. Like as it becomes more connected and more people can work remotely, the more digital nomads there are, the more they leave their sort of imprint on the places that they go. And a really good example is one of the first places I went to like 8 or 9 years ago was Antigua in Guatemala. And it was like this quaint little village in the shadow of 2 volcanoes. And I went back like a year and a half ago, and they have like a Victoria's Secret now and a Wendy's. Like they got all this stuff now. And I was like, what happened to this place, man? So I feel like the world tends to operate like a phrase in the States is that you can't have your cake and eat it too. And the more the world becomes nomadic, the more the world is just going to become the same, I think, where you travel to this far off place and you find a lot of the same stuff that was at the place that you were just at. So I think it's more critical now than ever to get out and do it because there's still so many places that are as of yet untouched, but will be in the future,
Yeah, I totally noticed that. When before coming here, it was my first time to come to Mexico a year ago. I was like, am I going to be able to find like food I like, or shampoos, or body care? And I walked along Fifth Avenue, and you have like Body Shop, and if you go to Walmart,
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no. What about you guys?
Things have changed, I must say, since 2016 when I started getting in here, and now I feel the term of digital nomad has changed because before you will need to have your own venture, your own digital adventure, so you can start a business. But now with the COVID, remote jobs are like everywhere. So it has, like Brian says, it has become easier, right? And due to that, for example, Playa has grown. Now most of the rental places are focusing that, and even on Airbnbs, there's a specific model that you set up your property so you attract remote people who work remotely or digital nomads. So see, according to the time as advanced, I have seen also the difference how it has changed.
And I think it depends on your field as well, because like it's easier now because people are more willing to let you work remotely. However, imagine that you're an entry-level person and you're like doing tech work or something. There's a ton of people in India that'll do the exact same thing now for like $7 an hour. Yeah. And a side effect of employers getting more open to letting people work remotely is now they're like, okay, well, how remote am I cool with? And if they're cool with somebody on the other side of the planet, then you might get priced out of a job that would have been yours on this side or in a different market or whatever. So it really, I think it's having a transformative effect where it's really, really good for some things, But then in other things, like, yes, there's more remote opportunity, but there's also lower quality of the opportunities that you might get, because now you're competing with the whole world.
What I also feel is like, we all live this kind of lifestyle and we can do it, but there are so many people out there that would love to do that, and they get frustrated because of their profession, because of their personal situation. Maybe they're not able to do that. So maybe you already do have family, or you do have a job which you can't do online, and then you see all the people posting the cool pictures, traveling a lot and exploring the world while earning money. And you are limited to your maybe 10 days a year because you can't afford more. So I think that's also a big problem, and people get pushed that they have to start a business. That's what I realize in my profession, that many people say not, they want to start a business because they have a profession and they have like a dream and they would like to make it happen and they would like to spread that. It's more like, oh, I also would like to do what everybody else does, and now I have to find a solution. So first is more the traveling and the personal experience, and then making it happen. And they're asking weird stuff like, what kind of skills do I have to learn to become a digital nomad? Oh, seriously, what are you interested in? What do you really want? What are you passionate about? What are you good in?
Yeah. And I think, a good question also might be, because of that, you can delegate a lot of things to people like across the world that, in India. It's very important, I think, to become an irreplaceable person. Somebody who cannot be replaced all that easily, having your expertise in the very specific thing that people will seek you out.
I'm very lucky in that, because that's exactly my situation. Like, it took a while, but the tech thing I do, the artificial intelligence, it's a very niche kind of thing that very few people do. So if they need me, they need me, and I'm really lucky for that. But maybe luck's not the right word. Like, I tried to make that happen over the course of a very long period of time, recognizing what you just said, that like there are a ton of coders out there, for example, that can just do general coding. There are very few people that can take things from a few different areas that I do and do what I do with it. So because of that, it puts me in a very secure place, and I've been there for quite a while, and I appreciate that. I like that. I highly recommend that for anybody, to become kind of a special. If your initial goal is just to get out there, then you have to generalize a bit. Like, because your first goal is just to. I think for most people, that first goal is they're breaking free from where they came from. And that's a huge psychological step, like, because once you can get past that, well, you're like, well, hey, I'm in Mexico. I mean, if I can do that, then, I can do all these other things. But moving beyond that, the future in it is that you have to build some security around it, and doing a general kind of thing is not always the answer.
Yeah. And it can be, I think, done in any area, like, e-commerce or any kind of, coaching or whatever it is. Just find, your clients, figure out their problem like the way that nobody else did, right? And serve them in a very specific way. So.
Yeah, but it's as you said, you need to first find a problem. So that's the thing. That's what I always realize, that people want to do something, they want to become a digital nomad, they do have a passion and they would like to make money out of it, but there's no need. So please always do have a business model set. If you don't have it, it's like it will not work, and everything needs to fit together. Like you said, you need to offer something which is unique, which makes you unique, and which makes you needed, but also it needs to fit to the client, it needs to fit to everything, and also the pricing is like all that. If it doesn't fit like a puzzle, you will not succeed. You don't have a market, you don't have a product, you don't have a service, you don't have a client.
A problem, I think, you mentioned, it's very important. What I realized in my own pain, like, you can be super good at something and you're like, I want to improve how your brain works, and somebody's like, yeah, let's do that, but maybe some other time, because it's not their problem.
Right.
Right.
So you need to find an urgent problem to solve.
Exactly. What's the hack? You ask a person, how much money are you spending already, or have you spent on solving this problem? If they not spend anything, the probability is it's not that important, and they can live with that problem just fine.
Right.
So yeah, that's a very, very important topic.
I think it's important to be systematic about all of it. Like you mentioned, having a plan and that kind of stuff. And I think that one mistake I've seen a lot of digital nomads make is they view getting on the road as like the finish line. Like this mentality of like, okay, I got to Mexico, that's the end of it. I'm a digital nomad now. When in reality, that's the beginning of a new lifestyle. You're not done or anything at that point.
No.
Like you still very much have the same life stuff, like you still have to find some way to maintain your health. You still
Relationships.
You're when you get to where you're going, you're still gonna be you. And still alive and still need to do life stuff when you get there. And I've met a lot of starry-eyed new digital nomads that are just like, I'm here. I'll never have to worry about anything again.
Actually, it is on the other hand. Once you're in here, now life starts getting...
Yeah. It's like the roll the credits on the movie, I succeeded, like there's nothing beyond this, when in reality, you need to roll the credits for the beginning of this new movie that you're just starting, because it's a whole...
Exactly.
It's a whole thing.
There are many things. I for the first time, what I realized traveling alone and without working means like that you have to love yourself. You need to like yourself. You need to like also maybe the parts of yourself you don't like. You have to accept them, because when you're traveling alone, maybe you're in a hostel or you live in a co-living surrounding, right? So you're surrounded by others, but that's not like being with friends or family. So sometimes you have to have dinner alone. Sometimes you go to the beach alone, and
A lot of alone time.
then you can hear your thoughts, you can hear your beliefs, and you have to accept them, and you have to handle that as well. So as you said, the journey just started, because then you are facing new challenges you maybe don't face when you stay at home.
Yeah, like
Immediately
routines.
new.
Yeah, you fall into your routines, and that's kind of like fun. You just go through your days, etc. But now you're in a new destination, and that's a completely different routine. And all of a sudden, you start having different thoughts. As you mentioned, a lot of alone time. That a lot of people, especially who do it, alone, not like couples or families, who start this remote lifestyle or being a digital nomad, and they don't go to the office. They don't meet a lot of people. You have a lot of alone time, and your brain starts going into places.
Yeah,
right?
that does not work. Like what I can honestly say, like I've traveled somewhere between 50, 60 different countries when I was the most active. My sort of MO is I would go to a city and I usually would stay there a month and then move on to the next one. So I spent like a month in Athens, a month in all these different places. And there were some that were better than others, that I had a better time. And what I realized later in the process, that it wasn't so much whether or not they had cool sights for me to see or good food. It was about whether or not I went out and met other cool people. And in the places where I isolated and tended not to do that were the ones that I did not enjoy as much or did not have as many positive memories about. And I really learned that at the end of the day, after all the travel, I learned that it doesn't matter where you are. It matters who's there with you,
Exactly.
Or at least for me. Like some people are truly nomadic and just prefer to be alone and that kind of stuff. But I think most people are like
I think most
social
people are
creatures.
social. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
they even, in your sense, like, sorry for a geeky insert, they say that probably our brains made purpose actually to learn how to interact with others, because that's the only way as species we survive. Alone, we are very weak in animal kingdom.
I have a weird theory about that, and it's kind of gets on the scientific side of things, and that is that in like quantum physics and stuff, they have a lot of research to suggest that things only come into existence when they're observed. Like they don't take focus. And I understand that you're still going to exist if I'm not observing you. But wouldn't you exist a little bit more if I was observing you?
It's like does the tree make the sound when it falls if nobody sees it?
Yeah. It's like maybe you're able to exist without other people observing you because you can observe yourself. But I would also argue that maybe it's easier to exist if other people are observing you because you're here just like any other object that now exist because it's being observed. So
Yeah.
maybe you yourself, in a way, become more real when you have other people around you and they're observing the things that you're doing and you're observing them. You're helping each other become more.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
To that point, I think like interacting with other to what you're saying, Brian, it's one of the best tools, accelerator of self-development. Because if I'm a jerk, but I don't interact with someone, how do I know that I'm a jerk? Right? Like,
yeah. Somebody needs to tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
I make sure that Juan remembers all the time.
But yeah, so do you have guys anything to add to that? Like interaction with other social life and other places, in your social life, in your digital nomad life or remote life?
I agree that, let's say in 2018 when I came here for the first time, my social life was not as big as it is now. And I can see the difference that when you are just by yourself or locked in Playa car in a little bubble over there, things doesn't really work like when you are maybe in downtown and you go out to Fifth Avenue or go and meet other friends, or you start going to the social gatherings that every community around Playa is starting to have. Develop a better, healthy relation with others and with yourself. Because when you're spending too much time with yourself, definitely crazy ideas start passing through your mind. So,
yeah, and also for me, it makes it feel like home. Like Playa del Carmen feels like home because of the people. Because I go out, I say hi to people. I meet friends. Like I interact with. Whereas if you're just by yourself and you don't know no one, it feels like a hotel stay. Like you're just on vacation and that's it. Yeah. You're not connected to the place.
One thing I really enjoy, I think, most about Playa del Carmen is, like, I've been to a lot of other places, like, say, for instance, I spent a year in Bali. Mm-hmm. And the way I kind of, is I rented a place in Bali, and once a month I would make a visa run, and I'd use that as an opportunity to go spend a week in Vietnam, a week in Cambodia, and that kind of stuff. And literally every single one of those places I went to, I felt like I was visiting somebody else's thing. I was like, I'm visiting Bali at the home of all of these Indonesian people, that kind of stuff. I don't feel that way in Playa. I am around Mexican people all the time, and I was like, this is as much you guys' place as it is mine, as it is Argentinians, as it is, like, nobody, Playa doesn't belong to anybody. Like, this isn't Mexico. It's its own thing, And to this day, there's only one person I've met that's from Playa del Carmen, and it's a harmonica player, Indra, that we work with a lot. So if he says something about Playa, I'm like, you know what, man, this is your home. But literally anybody else, I was like, everybody at this table, even though we all come from different places, it feels like we all have just as much right to be here as anybody else. And it's that kind of place. It's like a bunch of misfits from all around the world. It's the island of misfit toys. You remember the Christmas thing? God, what was it? There was a Christmas.
I'm from Russia, so probably not.
Yeah, it's like this really old gringo Christmas special to where the toys that none of the kids want go to this specific island and it's the island of misfit toys, and they all live there. Anyway, I probably should have stopped talking about that. Good 60 seconds ago.
The thing about island, I actually feel like we are on an island where just a lot of people from different parts of the world come. Yeah. And the second thing, I wanted to kind of give people listening and watching a takeaway. If you're starting your remote journey, you're not going to be going to office. If you're starting traveling, then please make sure that you have a plan in place to make connections, to meet people, either using Facebook, WhatsApp groups, or just, talk to people on the street, in cafes, like co-working spaces, anywhere, because you're still a social creature, and you'll need those connections, right? Otherwise,
so do they.
Yes,
like
exactly.
The people that you reach out to probably need it just as bad as you do.
Yeah. So we already started talking about, lifestyle and challenges and what you have to kind of take care of explicitly now. It doesn't come natural to you when you start working remotely, when you start working for yourself, when you're doing digital nomad thing in your new country, new culture, right? So you have to take care of a lot of things with intention. They're not just happening anymore, right? Be that your eating routine, fitness routine, sleep routine, your schedule. Like guys, let's start talking about those routines, and maybe let's start with your non-negotiables. What I hear a lot from people living remote lifestyle, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, business owners. What are some things that like you gotta have in place, around your schedule, or maybe your food or your fitness? Like, what are some foundational things that, if you don't do them, you can be screwed at some point, sooner or later?
I have to work out and I have to dance. So if I can't that, it doesn't work for me, because like working out is something for my health and for my body health. But dancing is like, that makes me happy. And if I can't do that for a long time, it doesn't matter how nice a place is, I can't stay there.
By the way, what do you do for workouts?
I go to the gym. Yeah, so classy. I try to find a gym where I can do classes to meet people, to socialize a bit. But also I do just the regular, ordinary stuff in a gym. So it doesn't need to be the fancy gym, but it needs to have some classes.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Thank you, Bridget. So exercise and dancing. Anything else? All right. Okay.
No, that's the most important. Of course, there are some small things. Like for me, food is very important. So
and we'll talk about food, in detail.
Playa is paradise, because you can find restaurants from all over the world. And that's something. I'm from Munich in Germany, so we have restaurants from different countries, and I always did that. My best friend and I, we were always going out at least once a week. We always tried new restaurants from different countries. It's not like always the Thai food or always the German schnitzel. And in different restaurants, it's like really trying new things. And I can do that here. And that's like, it's not good for the diet, but for that I go to the gym, right? So there's the balance.
Yes. So again, we're going to get back to food a little bit later, but now I'd like to keep it on non-negotiables, right? So let's continue.
Yeah.
I know for me, it was very, I was very systematic. Like you mentioned routine several times, and routine is, for me, when it comes to that kind of stuff, is crazy important. Both like daily routine of stuff that has to be done, but also like overall routine. Like for example, when I would travel to a new place, my routine is in that first 24 hours, I'd get there, I'd be tired, I'd sleep, I'd get up the next morning. I always found out, okay, where is my supermarket? Like in relation to AM, let's find that. Where's my gym? Where is my co-work? So now I'm eating, I'm staying healthy, I'm able to work. And those would always be, as soon as I rolled into a new town, those the first three things that I'm on top of. And also found it very helpful for me to keep schedules. Even though you're traveling, like I find, for me, just personally, I find a huge benefit at trying to wake up at the same time and go to sleep at the same time, and those kind of routines. And the fact that I'm in, Cambodia shouldn't change that, except within reason. Like, maybe I know Monday through Friday, I'm a routine kind of guy. Saturday, I'm allowed to let that kind of shake a little bit and do whatever, which is also equally important. Like, you don't want to go there and be so focused that you're like, well, what am I doing here? If I'm so focused and I'm not allowed to have any fun whatsoever, then what's the point? But I think it's important to keep even that within a parameter, and say, this is about how much fun I'm allowed to have in terms of breaking my routine. But for me, that was, you mentioned the non-negotiable. For me, I called it kind of the lay of the land. Where's my food coming from? Where's my gym coming from? Where's my internet coming from? And those were my first things every single time.
Yeah, cool. Thank you, Brian. What about you, Sergio?
I would say that the non-negotiable have my morning routines, my morning rituals. Everybody knows that I wake up at 4 in the morning. And from there, everything that I have to do in the morning, like reading, meditating, go out at a walk, watching sunrise, all that good jazz, that will be my non-negotiables. And outside of that, I try always to give me a me time, because just how I like to enjoy to have time with others, there's a moment that I say, okay, enough of others. the work can go and have a rest and have my me time. Because if I don't have my me time, then when I see other people, I'm just like, you get people.
Yeah.
See, so, but that, I would say my morning rituals are the non-negotiable. I always have to have them. Even someone else already told me that I am way too crazy for having those routines and strict routines. But that would be mine.
Okay, yeah, it's probably, pours over to your sleep, because if you wake up 4 a.m., it's hard to not have you sleep and wake up at that time. Yeah.
I think if you wake up at 4 a.m., the most important thing to do is leave other people alone.
Yeah, that's what I learned also.
That's exactly the part why I love to be a wake-up for the people, so other people can leave.
I do that.
Yeah.
I do that sometimes. Like, I had one of those mornings yesterday where I got up at about 4, and those first few hours can definitely be crazy productive when just the rest of the world's leaving you alone.
Yeah. Like for me, that's why I wake up at 5. So not 4 a.m. Although I used to be at some point, but anyhow, yeah, my non-negotiables, my sleep routine. Like I like to be on the same schedule. My food, breakfast, lunch, dinner. I have specific foods. My fitness, 30 minutes a day. My meditation, breathing. Also, I have morning routine, right? And I think that's about it. Just taking care of those things, like. Very foundational. Your sleep, your food, your exercise, mindfulness, like meditation, and the rest kind of, especially, for me as a coach, it's like my clients, my work, my content, whenever they fit, as long as I sleep, exercise, eat, and take care of my brain, the rest works. But if it doesn't, that where I really feel like, this digital nomad lifestyle just taking a toll on me. So I found it also, just wanted to share with listeners that, the crazier your lifestyle and work gets, the better you're going to be with routines, with having some anchor, something to ground you, to balance you. Otherwise, you'll burn out much faster than you expect with this lifestyle. Especially, if you're jumping into entrepreneurship and nomading and all of this stuff.
Yeah, I can give a very real world example about that, because that's why I came back to this side of the world. I spent a little bit over a year on the other side in Southeast Asia, right? And the number one reason I returned is because I simply could not get my body to cooperate enough for me to have a routine. Because I had to meet with clients in the States in the afternoon hours, which means I regularly would have to get up at like 3 o'clock in the morning for a meeting. And I'm the type of person to where, like, in the morning when the sun's coming up, I can't plan to sleep during that period of time because my body just won't allow it. And you mentioned burnout. That's what made me think of it. After a year, I was like, this place is beautiful. I love it. I got all these things going on, but I just can't be here anymore. Like I'm simply unable to maintain routines that are meaningful, and I got burnt out, and I had to come back to this to this side of the world at least.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, what I'm hearing, we're all humans. We all gotta have those things, right? We're still those animals. We need to take care of basics.
Yeah.
So,
what I would also add to this point here when we're at routines is that I think it's so important for people that are just starting out, being digital nomads, traveling, to really have routines. Because if you're back in your 9 to 5, or if you're back in your country, oftentimes you have these routines. They're like, you forcibly have them, because you're going to work. So, brush your teeth, you shower, etc. You put on your work clothes. Once you travel, you live as a digital nomad. Sometimes there's this kind of thin line between am I on vacation or am I working actually, right? So it's extra important to have these routines in a way. And also what I found very important for myself is to just put on work clothes every day. Like work clothes. But you know what I mean? Not sitting there with your drawers, and just being like pajamas or even naked, you know what I mean? Like if you're at home, no one sees you, right? You're not in the office, no one sees you. So, no one cares. So sometimes you can have a shirt on and then you have a meeting, but then you're just with your pajamas. So it's so important also psychologically to just have these, this part of your routines, to making it as if you're living this normal life at home, this regular, you understand what I mean? Because if not, then it can get into this mess in a way, So you have to organize yourself. And I find it so important. It's extra important for people like us to stick to that. Because otherwise, it can just turn into chaos. You do whatever. You wake up, if you don't have your alarm set every day at the same time, just sleep in, because who's there? No one's there to to look after you or to kick your ass,
Yeah.
You have to do it yourself. You're an employee, but you're also your own employer.
Your own manager.
That goes for self-employed people, period. But especially if you're a digital nomad, you know what I mean? Because you always, especially in these countries, if you're not living in Iceland or some cold place, it's sunny here, so that's also a part. I think all of you probably had this feeling once that you're working and you see the sunshine outside, and then you're like, damn, you have this FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean? Even, sometimes it's even unconscious, but then you still have it there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you're like, damn, I want to go out. Everyone's at the beach. I'm just working here and wasting my time and this kind of stuff. So I think it's very important to structure yourself, and having routines is so important.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I always went to a co-work, even if I didn't have to. Even if I had sufficient internet at the place that I was staying, I always went and found a co-work because it made me put on pants. Like you're talking about it. It made me take a shower. It made me be like, I should probably get a breakfast because I'm going to be in the office here shortly. It did provide some structure, so I tried to go to co-work and I tried to set sort of business hours for myself that I was going to be there, and it helped a lot.
So important.
What I also realize is that everybody needs to find his own speed of traveling. So as you said, you try to find these 3 spots. They are very important to you. As I traveled a lot and worked, for me it was very complicated to create my infrastructure, to find a supermarket, to find a laundry, to find a gym. So that costs you some days to figure that out. Where do you want to go? Okay, you can find a supermarket, but is it the supermarket where you find the groceries you want?
Yeah.
So, and that already takes time. And then on top, for me, I'm very focused, but still, of course, it's there's the beach. There are nice places I haven't visited. So, of course, I would like to get to know that. When I travel too fast, so every place just 2-3 weeks, I get in trouble because I don't get my work done. First, I have to figure out my infrastructure, and then it's there's so many things to do. Oh yeah, first I have to see the things because work can't wait. So that's stupid, right?
Yeah.
So you need to find also not just a structure of the day, but also the time period you want to stay in a place, that it's not in a rush, or that you are not in a rush.
Yeah, that's so important. I just wanted to get back first to Justin and your negotiables, so we kind of finish that. But yeah, we'll get back to that too.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So basically, the first one, you already heard it, is to put on, my working clothes, not to sit there in pajamas. No, and then also, so what I do every morning, first thing in the morning, of course, drink lots of water. This is my personal routine. Then also just, having a cold shower, working out as well, just like, probably all of you guys. I think that's super important as well. Yeah, and then also just having a healthy breakfast. You gotta be focused all day long. You have clients, you have lots of work to do, so it's so important to have a healthy diet. And then just what else? Journaling, lots of journaling. That's also what I do. I find it especially helpful living as a digital nomad, because sometimes, as you guys talked about earlier, it can get lonely. Because of course you have your base, you have your people, but then also as we're digital nomads, we're nomads. So oftentimes you have a friend base in a way, a community, but this community is also constantly changing because people are coming and going. It's not like if there's a couple of people that are probably also here in Playa staying, permanently, but then I would say, the majority of people are just coming temporary and then leaving. So sometimes it's damn, now I had these people that I used to know, hung out with for the last few months, and then now they're gone again. So
It does happen.
You understand? You had your buddies, every day at 1, you see them for coffee or something like that. So I think it's also very healthy to just journal and always have a kind of a self-talk, a talk with yourself that you kind of document. And I think it helps a lot if you do it in the morning or a nap in the evening. I do it in the morning. So yeah, that's also something I do regarding routines.
I would actually also add that in place of journaling, depending on the type of person you are, I'm a musician. For me, music is kind of that self-talking thing that you were talking about. For somebody that paints or does some other artistic pursuit, that may be that for them. I think it's about what you're mentioning is it's about Wow, I mean, you said it, so you know what it's about. I'm just I'm just piggybacking off of it. That I think that, like, for me, I get that same kind of thing from like sitting down and trying to write a song.
Yeah.
You know?
Probably like a getaway in a way, you know, like where you have your own space and where you can just kind of like be with yourself in a way, right? And it's probably also like a meditative state, you know, where you don't have to really think. You're just in a flow state. You're just, you know, you are.
Yeah.
You can play, you know, be it instruments in your case, or other people just, you know, are painting or journaling. You know, you can just be in a way. Some people in meditation, you know.
Yeah.
It's also more fun, of course.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of common themes as we can see. If you time with yourself, miss something along the line of meditation and mindful practice, food, exercise, sleep, your schedule, right? And as Bridget mentioned, just figuring out your schedule and where you do things, when you do your adventures, when you do your work, and that actually maybe we all share. When it comes to productivity at work or whatever you do, your business, and adventures, like how do you personally maybe set it up? Like where do you draw boundaries? Like, okay, this is the time I work, this is the time for adventures. Does it get, I don't know, does it bleed into each other sometimes? So maybe now less than before, or maybe the other way around?
For me, I try to focus on work, but I also want to be flexible. So if there's something coming on a Tuesday and I don't have an appointment, I don't have to do anything, okay, Tuesday's my day off. It doesn't need to be the Saturday, Sunday. That's the flexibility and the freedom we have. And I think we should take advantage from it. We should do that because that's the reason why we choose this kind of lifestyle. And for me, it's like the ideal lifestyle, but also we have some cons, right? So there's not, we don't have 100% positive. So as we do have, in my opinion, more pros than cons, we should take advantage from the pros to consume also the cons, right? So I try to keep it flexible, but still, of course, it's like there's always something going on, especially in places like Playa. So you need to choose wisely. You can't be on every party. You can't be on every trip. You can't be at the beach every day. And the imagination some people have, like being a digital nomad, working remotely. We are not working at the beach. There's no Wi-Fi.
Nobody's working at the beach.
There's no Wi-Fi. There's no electricity. There's no shade, so you can't see anything on the screen. So please, that's not how it's going to be. So we are at the beach, of course we are, and we can go there every day, but we don't work there.
Yeah, it's such a good point.
That's such a good point.
I was at a meeting with some people in Louisiana the other day, and they know that I'm down here, and they asked me about that. Like, but why aren't you on the beach right now? And I'm like, why haven't you drug your desk out into the parking lot underneath the sun? Like, do you not want to tan too? Go outside, by all means. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's like all these posters showing people like by the pool or something else. The only thing I can do by the pool, maybe answering emails, a couple of essential. That's about it. But yeah, you're so right.
And most hilarious are the pictures when people place the laptop in front of Machu Picchu or something like that. It's like, who believes that?
And the Wi-Fi at Chichen Itza is terrible. I hear they're putting an OXO right on top of it.
It's photogram. It's photogram.
Imagine what it took to take it all the way there.
Right, they're working on the what's his name? Elon Musk is working on the global link. That's when digital nomad's gonna go. Wow.
And actually,
you'll be able to be in the middle of the jungle and stuff, man. That's good. I don't know what I might do. Like if that were to, I'd say right now I've got a lot of goals that are like stretching over the next few years. But if after that was the deal, then I could see myself going to some pretty weird places.
Yeah, but it actually, you can pre-order it right now. I think it costs 35,000 passes to have it in the area. and they're gonna deliver it in like a couple of months or something like that.
Yeah, that right there.
Yeah, they'll create new opportunities.
Yeah, that's going to be wild right
You'll
there.
have people
We can
in
pitch in.
Antarctica, you know, you have people in
There's going to be a
deserts,
digital
you know?
nomad tribe right in the middle of the Amazon.
Yeah.
And like, you know, it's
Well, we're going to be 9 to 5 then, you know. They're going to be the real digital nomads. You know?
Yeah.
You're going to have them in Amazon,
Next
you know,
generation.
Sahara Desert, you know, and these are real, you know, that's the real deal.
By the way, to speak to the point that you brought up originally, the way that one tool that I used to handle that is that I always tried to research the next place that I was going before I got there. And I tried to take and have like 3 lists. Like one, these are things I have to do while I'm there. That's the first list that like it's priority. Like you don't go all the way to Athens and not see the
like,
Parthenon or whatever. Yeah. Like if there's certain things that you have to do. Then the second list would be stuff that I'm going to try to make it a priority. I really want to do these things. And then the third would be like, okay, I mean, if it happens to work out, you know, then cool. Or if I just have some free time. And I would try to I try to create like a priority system with that stuff. And be like, okay, I got a priority 3 opportunity. But I've also got this meeting, you know, and I can't really blow this off for that. But if I got a priority 1 opportunity, then I'd be like, well, I mean, you know, I didn't come all the way to Mexico to not have tacos. Like,
I did not have a single taco actually.
No, you didn't?
I didn't. I'm aware. I'm a nutritionist, right? Tacos are very
as an
mixed
example.
thing.
That's such a good point you're stating because I think it's so good to have a healthy balance. You know, as we're digital nomads, to just have your profession, your work, but then also really have a to-do list, do things because that's the purpose of that. You know, this traveling, this travel lifestyle. Because I also found it pretty difficult in the beginning to just have that kind of balance. To not just to work. But then also to do stuff, because now I'm here for 3 months. Not me, but I'm here like 3 months. I'm like, damn, I haven't done anything, or I just have done
That's
whatever.
me.
You understand what I mean? Like, it took me my brother, and my girlfriend, 2 months or 3 months to just really travel, to go to Tulum, to go to see, Chichen Itza, or to go to, something else, right? To Holbox, right? But we've been here so long. But before you come here, you're like, oh, I'm going to see this, and that, like you said, have this priority list. And I think, yes, it always depends, right, on your work and how much work you got. But yeah, I find it sometimes challenging. And I think it's a good point to really have this clear, to see, okay, I'm working, but I'm not forgetting why I'm here. I have to see some things because that's, sometimes it's like that. You just work. Weeks pass, 1 week after the other, and you still haven't done, that. And your people back home are like, have you seen this? Have you seen that? Because they're there checking all the sightseeing stuff, But then you're here, you're like, yeah, well, it's here, but I haven't done it yet.
Yeah,
I'm just working.
Well, I think it's important to remember that, like, the word priority. You got priority 1, 2, and 3. The P doesn't stand for permission. Like, these are things I can do if I want to. Like, if it's a P1, then, I view that as just as important as your work. Like, you came here to do this shorter priority 1 list of things. Yeah. If you got a bunch of P3s left when you roll out, then, okay, maybe try harder next time. But you shouldn't have any P1s,
Exactly.
Because that's what you came here to do,
Yeah, but I want to jump in, though. Like, I never planned to come to Mexico at this point, right? I came here, and my priority was work. And I never fooled myself about that, right? And I also want people to understand it's like, look at your priorities first, right? You are in this place, but if there is an urgency in whatever you're doing career-wise, and this is your priority, then treat that as your priority because you're not dying. You can, but most probably you're going to be alive for quite a few decades after that, right? And if this is the thing that needs to get done now, then this is the thing that needs to get done, and pyramids can wait, and Chichen Itza and all that. And just, when I came here, I'm like, I need to build up my business, and that was the priority. And if there was some party or sightseeing, I'm like, no. And I knew that was my priority, and I knew I wouldn't regret it.
Yeah, well, if that's your priority, then
Totally
that's
fine,
what you're here to do. And I've done that on purpose traveling before. Like, there were times where I was getting behind on work, and I intentionally created a spot in my route where I knew I wouldn't have shit to do when I got there. Like, I knew that it was a smaller place. It didn't offer a lot of, like, nightlife or fun or any of that kind of stuff. And that it would be a great place for me to just spend the next month focusing on work and that kind of stuff. And that I'm not going to have a lot of distractions. Do not recommend that with Playa, necessarily. It's not a good place for that, probably. Maybe find, like, a village in Costa Rica or something. I say that because I did that. I went to this beautiful co-work in Costa Rica where they had somehow gotten this really good internet connection, but it was just kind of in the middle of nowhere. Like, the only thing near it was this small town with a few markets, that kind of stuff. And this guy, just ultra nomad guy, had built this place that was just like, it was just by the sea, and it was just a bunch of chill people working and being focused, and there was really nothing else to do except go out and exercise or whatever. And it was like, I think he made it with that intention. Like, you can be nomad, but like kind of take a pit stop over here and focus on stuff for a little while, that you need to focus on.
And again, I want to just bring back the point, right? Before jumping into this remote journey, digital nomad, or being self-employed and like in any capacity, just figure out your stuff, like the clarity around your priorities, your goals, your routines, the vision for your life, right? Otherwise, like, more freedom will be a disaster, not a good thing.
No, 100%. And I also think the routines are not just to make the work happen, but also to make your free time happen. Because that happened to me as I came here. I didn't know that many people, so there's not that much to do. Okay, you can go out yourself all the time, but then you think, no, I don't have to. No one's waiting for me, so I can continue an hour or 2 hours more for work. And at the end, I was working more, and I was already working a lot in Germany, but I was working more here than in Germany. It's like, no, wait, stop. That's nice, but that's not the goal. That's what you said. Why are you here if you don't enjoy anything, right? It's like, it doesn't make sense at all. Then you can stay at home. You don't have to.
Well, I'm from Siberia. Yeah, I try to stay and work, and sometimes go to the beach. Then in minus.
You haven't seen my home, man.
Sergio, no.
It's funny and interesting because many people think like, I'm going to become a digital nomad, I'm going to be free, I'm going to be doing, and actually I think it's in the opposite. You have to have a really good discipline, because in my case, I have tried to make the effort to have a 9 to 5 even on my digital nomad, where I'm going to just focus on work from 9 to 5, but then I'm out of there to do whatever that I win. But also I am with Birgit that if it is a Tuesday, I know that I have my work or anything, but if someone is like, hey, how about if we go to Tulum to do something else, right? Well, let's go and do it, because that was my issue of being in a regular job, that if someone called me to, hey, let's go and record a song, or hey, I just found a gig where you can DJ, you want to come? No, I can't, because I'm stuck in my job. That will drive me crazy. But I try to give myself that discipline of like having my 9 to 5, but with the freedom that if at any moment my phone rings and, hey, you want to go and hang out and do this? Hell yeah, but let's go and do it, right? So that's what I feel that has to be also, you have to have your structure and the discipline of following your work hours and also your chill and relax hours. Like, you have to find a balance.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks, like you guys were saying, like, I'm going to be on the beach and be on the ruins with my laptop. Maybe you can, but the internet is not going to be that great. The sun is going to be on you. The mosquitoes are going to be bothering you. And because or you're on the beach trying to hang out, or you are trying to work. And I mean, you cannot do one or the other one. You have to choose. And also, I try to do that once that Saturday is here. You know what? Computer is closed, or I just watch Netflix, or I go to the beach, or I jump to the pool, whatever it is. So always having that balance between work and chill time.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing, you mentioned that now, indeed, you actually have more freedom, but you also gotta learn how to use that freedom when it's worth it, because probably all of you got more invitations that you could ever accept, right? And you kind of gotta figure out what to say yes, what to say no to, and when, right? Yep. Otherwise, things just...
I didn't get invited to anything.
Or especially like if you wake up really early, Hey, you want to go out 10 p.m.? No, dude, 10 p.m. I'm getting sleep. See you later. You know what I'm saying? So,
But I think it goes back to routine and taking care of yourself for that kind of stuff because, if there's one thing like on, on this side of On the Nomad and stuff that I would say to most people is that it's not, it's something great to aspire to do, but it's not a solution. Like I saw this skit on Saturday Night Live. It had Adam Sandler. I don't know if you guys know. There's people from all over the place here at this table, but it was about he was doing a commercial for a tour company, and the whole thing of the commercial was just like, I want to make it very clear. If you are unhappy in Connecticut and you get on a plane and fly to a beach in France, you are still going to be you when you get there.
Exactly.
And if you're an unhappy person in the States, then you're probably still going to be an unhappy person when you get it. It's not a solution to every problem that you have.
Right.
As a matter of fact, it will introduce new ones that you don't currently have
Exactly.
that you'll have to solve when you get there. So I think that some people, I think it's a very common thing just in human psychology to think that a geographic change is going to solve all your problems. And that's not what this is about.
But to this point, vitamin D boost will make you happier.
Well, you're from Siberia. I'm surprised that you have any vitamin D.
Well, 11 years, I got some.
Yeah, I can imagine how it would be a good change. But if you say, for instance, if you have a bad history with getting into toxic romantic relationships, you're not going to suddenly be good at dating when you get here. You're still going to have to figure out why you do that,
I actually, through traveling, that's what made me realize I did not figure out my dating life. Because every time I go to a new place, it would kind of end up the same. And I'm like,
Because you're there.
Because you're bringing yourself along.
Yeah.
That's the point. You're not just leaving things behind and then going to a new place and then now things are different. You're bringing yourself along.
Yeah, and
everywhere.
all of your habits and all of the little things that all that stuff comes with you. I mean, you're just giving yourself a new environment to maybe work on some of that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like
yeah.
maybe
And then
it's still
why I
you.
worked it out. Yeah, I'm like, yes, I nailed it this time. But let's maybe speak about a couple of other essentials. Food and exercise. Let's maybe about food first, because exercise should be short. What is your to-go routine? Do you have one? How do you manage trying exotic foods and having your basics, essentials, met so your health doesn't suffer? Any thoughts, any routines around that?
Yeah.
Any advice, tips?
Right. Well, you can start now.
I prepare my breakfast myself.
What do you have for breakfast? Let's go.
Yeah.
Detail.
So first, I do have breakfast. I think it's important for me. I don't know. I got taught you can't leave the house without a breakfast. That's what my mom always said. And even if I was not hungry, I had to eat a bit. So, and I think it's not bad. It's not a bad habit. And I prepare it myself. I try to have variety, but I always do it myself. It just maybe once every other week that I go with friends for brunch at the weekend or something like that. But I don't want, so that's also about the daily routine. I don't want to waste my time if I have to leave in the morning before I can, or maybe I work out first and then I would have breakfast outside. But that would cost around 2 hours because you have to go somewhere, you have to choose something, you have to wait, you eat, you go back. It's wasted time. For me, it's wasted time. So I love to prepare my breakfast. It's like a routine. I do that in the morning and I can already think about what I have to do. And that's for me, it's very important. And in general, I love to cook. So I most of the time I also try to cook and I love to go to restaurants, I already said. And regarding the healthy food and trying new things, most of the time when I'm eating Mexican food, for example, I eat it on the street. So not in a restaurant, it's like the real street food. And the only thing what I do is I was looking if there are a lot of locals, because that means for me they wouldn't go there if it wouldn't be clean and it wouldn't be healthy and okay, fresh. Make sure that you try the sauce before because it's always spicy and they say it's just a bit. So Mexican a bit might be hell and it's burning. So, but that's what I do. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Bridget, for sharing. Just giving everyone a hands up. We have like maybe 10-15 minutes, so let's like talk about this. Share as much wisdom as possible from your experience and gotta take turns. Sergio.
In my case, I guess I don't like to break my head early in the morning, and I'm tired of eating eggs or thinking when I'm going to have a breakfast. So I'm like, you know what, give me my protein shake, I'm good to go, and that's it, right? I see my body as if I'm working on a hydroponic plant, and I'm like, well, I just add the nutrients, I am good to go. Lunch, in the other hand, lunch is important. That one I have to have a really good, decent lunch. And for dinner, sometimes maybe also can be a protein shake, or unless that I am invited or really I have a craving, then I go to a good place or go out. I try to quit Mexican food outside because, that's something that I have learned when I'm in Playa, and that's why I went back to take my protein shakes. After a while, I can feel how my body starts getting chubby, and also just my digestion doesn't work as I should like, right? So I try to keep it healthy, keep it clean, but also that allows me that when someone's like, hey, we're going to go and have buffet somewhere else, like, okay, I can beach now, no problem. But see, I try to keep it clean, balanced, quick, vámonos go, because I don't like to break my head. I'm like, what should I cook today for breakfast, right? But lunch, you guys have seen my stories. It can go from salads, pastas, Mexican dishes, all that good jazz.
Yeah, maybe also, guys, if you have any hacks or things that you learned not to do that could be useful to people, just when traveling or working remotely, also please add them to the mix so people avoid mistakes or things like that. Like, for example, I learned if I eat a raw salad somewhere else, I'm most probably going to have stomach problems, right? But that's just me. So I always try to tell people, if you have a sensitive digestive system, raw things outside in a lot of southern countries might not be a thing, right? So yeah, my routine, I'm a very routine person, plus I'm a nutritionist. So I have my, usually I skip breakfast and I have lunch and dinner, and I have things like protein, complex carbohydrates, and all the good fats from all the whole foods. And my, to-go thing and to-go advice is stick with whole foods most of the time, things you're familiar with. Have a routine to avoid decision fatigue and always having to think about your food, whether somebody else cooking for you, whether you cook for yourself once or twice a week or a day. So simple foods, have a routine, and if you want to try new foods, pick a day, pick a date, an occasion, a place, try it, and then get back to whatever you're doing. Otherwise, your health, your weight, and everything can just go all over the place. So that's my to-go thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right this moment, it's not. I don't have a strong routine right this moment. I'm not very nomadic right this moment, and we've been staying so busy that it's been kind of a free-for-all sometimes of sleeping for 4 hours and just wrapping in something. But it was actually, but when I was traveling more, I was really lucky in that, while I'm adventurous geographically, I'm not a very adventurous eater. Like, I'm more of a meat and potatoes, find something that works, stick with it kind of guy. So it was never really hard for me. I just needed to find a market. They usually would have some basic kind of stuff that I would normally eat. And unless it was something special, like I'm a carnivore, I'm a meat eater. So, like, for example, Athens was wonderful every day. I was like Templeton and Charlotte's Web, just like, this is... but I was also walking like 12 kilometers every single day, and I got around the city on foot on purpose and burned an enormous amount of energy. So I basically could just eat all the time, and I would be fine. So for me, it was easier. I was able to find a lot of like common ingredients, that kind of stuff. The only thing I'll add is that if you are not traveling alone. For example, there was a period during my time where I was dating somebody, and that person was a vegan, and that was a terrible idea. Because I was always looking for a steak, and she was always looking for grass or whatever those guys eat. And so we had a lot of time, arguing and just trying to figure out where to get food and where to eat and that kind of stuff. So that's the only thing I guess I'll try to add is that if you have a travel companion, make sure they at least have somewhat of a compatible diet with you. Or else you're going to have a lot of arguments about vegetables that I don't even know the name of, so yeah, that's about all I can really add to that.
Yeah, funny story to add to that. I once was looking for an apartment. It was actually in London, and my roommates told me that I can only move in if I'm a vegan because they did not want the smell of fish and meat. So just make sure you speak about those details. Yeah, if you live with someone else.
Check that kind of stuff.
Myself. I have a bit of a. I do intermittent fasting. So in the morning, so I just have a smoothie in the morning or juice, and then have lunch. Which is basically low carb salads. So and then dinner. But basically for people that are looking to becoming a digital nomad, I would probably also suggest a little bit what you also said, to first know or make sure that you have a supermarket where you get the foods that you need. So not that you have to end up, what you said, having diarrhea or whatever. If you eat the wrong foods and you have to be dependent on kind of outside food or street food all the time. So knowing that you have everything you need, everything that you need to cook or prepare whatever you need to eat at home, because oftentimes, and I experienced this in the beginning of my digital nomad journey, is that whenever you move to new countries, of course you don't really know the place that you're going to. You don't know the neighborhood. You don't know where what is. Of course you can Google it, but it's so important to know where do you have your grocery store. Do you have a grocery store with Whole Foods, for instance, and because otherwise you can easily end up just always just going outside, finding the nearest spot. But maybe the nearest spot is not the healthiest spot, and then you end up doing this, and then you become junky, like Sergey said, like you keep on ending up eating Mexican food, for instance, here, and you eat so many tacos. And what I did for myself, for instance, is a rule that, okay, let's say Monday to Friday, I eat healthy, I try as much as I can healthy, and then on the weekends I eat, tacos, and even if it's street vendor or whatnot, I deserve it, I earn it, you know what I mean? So,
just having that routine. And that's actually one of the first things I look up when I'm choosing the apartment. Is there a grocery store where I can go and get stuff? Like fruit, vegetables, yogurt, meat, etc. So if I have this, I'll survive. Right? And just in general, I think I would also add, guys, food is important. It can screw up your travels, your routine, no matter where you are. So do figure out what works for you, and that you can find it where you go. And then experiment as much or as little as you want.
Have you guys had to deal with a regional sickness with food? I know in Bali, I had Bali belly. I was in Mexico City 2 weeks ago, and I came back with salmonella. Have you guys had to deal with food-related maladies?
I guess everybody who has been to Bali had the Bali belly, right?
Yeah.
Which is it? I've been to Bali for 6 months. I was there, and
really,
but I cooked all my food, so I didn't.
Okay, yeah. So that's.
I had an agent completely knock me on my tail because I broke my arm in Bali. This arm is broken in half. I had to do surgery. Anyway, long story short, I get out of the 3-day stay in the hospital, and the next day is when I got Bali belly. And the combination of those two things, I was in a bed in a hotel room for a month. I was out of commission for 3 or 4 weeks. It was bad.
Those things can really screw up routine travels, any enjoyment that you otherwise would get from travels. And that's to that point, guys, if you're also in a place for just a few days, try to make your food maybe less adventurous unless you're there for that purpose, because otherwise you might end up staying in a hotel room the whole journey. Especially I noticed that about, again, Southeast Asia, places like Latin America, South America. I think there is also something to do with the South and more bacteria. But So guys, we're gonna wrap up today's amazing chat discussion around our remote and nomadic lifestyle. So last addition, do you have any thoughts, advice, hacks, like something, to give maybe our listeners, our viewers some value, like anything you'd like to add at the end, like a parting song?
In general, I would say if you feel that you need to try it out, give it a try. That's very important. So don't let the fear win. Of course, be prepared, get some things done. I would recommend when people want to start a business that they do have at least a base. I met several people, they came here and just tried to find luck just because they changed the location, that everything will get better. But again, it's like trying it out and having like, a rough plan about what to do, how to do it. What we were discussing, having a routine, knowing what is important to you. So all these things, but give it a try. If it doesn't work, and always ask yourself, what is the worst could happen in a scale from 1 to 10? Is it really the worst? Is it really a 10? Does it feel like a 10? Or what happens if you fail? Maybe it's just a 6, maybe it's a 7, but is that really the end of your life? Or is it just that you at least try it and you can go back and say like, hey, okay, that's not for me. Or maybe it is for me, but I have to change something. So that's what I would like to say to people. They're thinking to change something in their life.
Yeah, great advice. Thank you.
My advice would be stand up in the shoulders of giants, meaning like look for those who are doing already what you want to do and go to them, ask them what is working, what is not working, and then in that way you will save a lot of headaches and problems. So 1, 2, 3, just go to those ones who are already doing what you want and ask for advice.
Yeah, amazing advice. Just learn from each other, from other people who already did what you're trying to do. And as for myself, I always, recommend 2 things: having clarity about what your journey, remote digital nomad journey, what you want it to look like, what are your priorities like all of us said already, and then have your health foundation in place. Like figure out what makes you work. Sleep, nutrition, fitness, mental health, relationships, and as soon as you get, where you need to get, start doing that, right? Put that in place and then figure out the rest. So that's my to-go advice.
I would kind of, add to that stuff that just there's really never been a better time to do it. Like we talked at the beginning, and also. Before I traveled, I'm from Mississippi in the States, where just almost everybody tends to. It's one of the most least educated places, and not a lot of nomads, heading out into the world. And I always had this vision of what the rest of the world would be like and that kind of stuff. And I would just tell people that no matter where you're going to go, when you get there, you're going to find people that are trying to protect their family. They're trying to work. They're trying to raise their kids. They're trying to make money. They're trying to do all the same stuff that you're doing, and there are very few places left where they're going to be like, we'd never even seen a white person before. We didn't know that exists. Like when you get there, you're probably going to find that you're not the first 100th or even 1,000th person that had the idea to go there. So it's not as drastic as like, people where I'm from, they think they're going to take one step in Mexico and immediately somebody's going to murder them. And that's just how a lot of gringos think, They just think that, like, if it's not in America, you're going to be murdered within 28 minutes of stepping a foot off the plane. And the only thing I would say is that no matter where you go, this family people, business people, like people that they're trying to do all the same stuff that you're doing, And so expect that. Don't get there and be like, well, this is just like home. This is their home, this is somebody's home, and they're trying to live in it, so get there, live your life, show some respect, and don't let, the fear of the unknown stop you from doing it in the first place.
Great advice.
Yeah.
Justin?
Yeah, my advice probably, I would probably advise, exactly what you guys advise, but then also add to that, just to ask yourself, what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? What is there to lose? If you're not doing it, you're going to be back in your country, and just do it. What is there to lose? You can only win, actually. And even as you said, right, if it's just like a month, give it a month, try it out, and oftentimes, people have been on vacation for like 2-3 weeks, sometimes even a month, and yeah, nobody probably was like complaining. You know, it was super nice, and this is basically it. Just that, you know, you also work in this kind of vacational place. So yeah, just give it a try, you know, and always think about it. Like, what do you have to lose? You have nothing to lose.
Yeah, thank you guys for that. Like, first of all, for this amazing discussion. I'm sure people learned so much and related to so many struggles and things, you know, we went through, going through. So thank you so much for sharing so openly. And also, by the way, guys, I'm gonna link all of the people, give you some link in the show notes. So check it out if you want to connect with any one of us. Also, we are in Playa del Carmen, right? You can ask us how it is here if you are considering to move here. And also, at the end of this episode, I'd like to thank our sponsor and the studio where we are recording, Fifth Avenue Sounds. Amazing place. I don't know any other place that does the work so professionally. So if you're any kind of content creator, check them out. Record and make content the way you want it. And I think that's about it. Start, travel, but, you know, be clear and take care of yourself. And till next time.
Alrighty.